Number one, this is a celebration, but it is all right to cry, because I probably will. All right, number two, our goal was to simulate all of you being here in our living room, all right, telling stories, sharing moments with my mom, or just being here to support us during this change. We wanted this memorial to be conversational, but I bet some of the people who have ever been on a conference call, there's always some type of background noise or interference with the meeting. So three, we are recommending, unless we are targeting your targeted to speak next, please go on mute. All right. Then until you have something to say, we will play it by ear. When you do speak, please speak directly into the microphone so we can hear you. So I'm using my projecting voice. And then number four, we have a program, but the first people listed are just icebreakers. Get the party started, all right? So speak from the heart, but also be conscious of the time. So Beth and I will be helping with that, all right? So now, I would like to introduce my friend and my mom's friend, the Emmy award-winning co-host for today, coming to us straight from Los Angeles, California, Beth Hubbard.
Yoo-hoo. Hi, everybody. I didn't know he was going to say that. Thank you for
speaking to the mic, Beth.
So, am I on the mic? Can you hear me?
Yeah, speaking to the mic.
Okay, I'm speaking into the microphone. Some of you I know, and some of you I don't. For those of you who don't know me, I am a childhood friend of Christopher's. We knew each other when we were very small and very young, and I knew Ramona very well when I was younger, and I reconnected with her just a year ago. So it's my honor and my privilege to help Christopher make this event happen. I'm glad I was able to be helpful, and I'm glad I'm having this opportunity to honor her. And I'll just be helping out as we go along. So with that,
over.
what?
Remember, this is when I threw it over to you, and then you would take over. So remember, I'm the technical director. Okay. I'm the guy pushing the button.
All right.
And then you're the beautiful host.
All right, thank you. Hello. I use my Vanna White voice. All right. So with that, let's begin, and we'll start by Stephanie, if you would give the opening prayer.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do an invocation because anyone that knew Ramona well knew that that was her path in this life for self-perfection. So I will begin. Beloved, I am that I am. Beloved, Holy Christ, self of all. Beloved Jesus, Mother Mary. Beloved, Great Divine Director, Archangel Michael, we humbly gather today to commemorate the life of Ramona Curry, a mother, our sister and friend, truly a storyteller. She also was a way shower to those thirsty on the path for self-perfection and unlimited attainment. Today we gather collectively as a farewell of loving memories to embrace Ramona's journey home to creative infinity. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. So now is the part where we share our stories, and we have some folks who've agreed to do that. I'd like to see if Tariq is connected and would like to share his story.
I hope I'm connected. I think I've done everything I need to do. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you. Hi, Tariq. Hey.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Wow.
You look great. Great to see you.
Yeah, good to see everybody. So I just wanted to start out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay, so I just wanted to start out by first saying it's an honor to be here for Chris. You know, he's been such a special friend for my entire life, and you know, he's definitely been a brother in a lot of ways. So even though we aren't technically blood related, I've always considered Ramona as like family and a parent. And I just want to kind of make sure that I talk about all the amazing times that we had as children. I think of all the meals, all the laughter. I remember one particular time where Chris had me laughing so hard that I actually spit out milk, and some of that milk actually hit Ramona. So, yeah. So Chris has always been that funny, and I'm sure Ramona didn't love that particular moment, but to me it stands out as a time that really just shows how much warmth and love there was. I remember the house on Sherman Way. I remember the apartment on Saddick Way. I remember like all the different places that we grew up and spent time together, and all of our like epic backyard playing. And you know, the thing that stands out with me for Ramona is just the love, the consistency, the patience, and just how much he was always there for Chris and for me. And you know, I needed all of that love and care. You know, I think that we were at times short on that. And growing up, and so it was always good to know that there was extended family and that there was a whole army of people behind us, you know. So thank you for everything that you gave to me as a child, and even as an adult, and being my own parent to my own children. I think of all of the encouraging words that Chris's mom always gave me to help me stay the course and do the best I can for my own children. So I've always been really grateful for that. But I think the thing I'm grateful for most is just Ramona's ability to raise such an amazing son herself. And I think that even with the sadness that I have of her being gone, the testament to her greatness is Chris still being here and everything that he's had to offer for everyone that's had the honor of knowing him and calling him a friend. So thank you, Ramona, for that gift, which is ongoing.
Yeah. Thank you, Tariq. That was beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, this is Gail. Is it possible I can speak now?
Sure.
Can
Gail,
you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, Christopher, Charmaine.
Hi.
Hi. This is Gail Smith. My husband Trevor and I are Christopher's godparents. And to hear Ramona talk to Christopher about his birth brought back a lot of memories, because she told me that same story, of course. And Christopher was the light of her life. I met Ramona in high school. I was a transfer. I moved to New York from Massachusetts in my senior year. And Ramona was the first one to befriend me, and we became best friends right away. We got into a lot of trouble. I never knew that I liked horses, but Ramona said, you know what, we should start a riding club. And we did. We went up, we would ride the subway in the Bronx to ride horses once a month on a weekend, and we'd ride home smelling terrible. People would look at us like, where the heck have they been? Because horses smell. Storytelling, yes. Mona was a storyteller. I usually did not call her Ramona or Mona. We called each other Braid. Do not ask me where that came from, but it was always Braid. Oh, let's see pictures cool. Here.
Wow.
Oh gosh, there are just so many stories. I sent Christopher a picture of the two of us, and it was at a time when we were both asked to be Playboy bunnies. Restaurant in Manhattan.
What? Do we have this photo? Like, I need to see this photo.
Oh no! It's
all right, there's a little
photo.
face right there.
It's just a regular photo. Yeah, of the two of us and my little sister. And we were scared to death. We were saying, oh my gosh, that's going to entail, this, that, and the other. And even though we got into a lot of trouble, we were kind of goody two-shoes. We didn't smoke, we didn't drink, we didn't do drugs, we didn't do any of that. But we got into a lot of trouble for sure. I stayed with Mona and her mother at one point for about 3 months. And we used to sneak out of the house, and we'd sneak back in holding our shoes, and her mother would always catch us. Where have you been?
Now, see, that's impressive. That's impressive because you held your shoes so you wouldn't creak the floorboards, right?
Yeah, but we didn't realize that we didn't need to hold them because we were creaking the floorboards anyway, and her mother was just sitting there waiting for it. Oh, my gosh. Mona wrote the most beautiful letters. Mona was a writer. Not only her penmanship was beautiful, but her thoughts were beautiful. She was just a very beautiful, kind. I'm going to miss her. She's my sister. My mother calls her her fifth daughter. And this is just, we're celebrating a life of just, my heart is broken, but Christopher, we're here for you, okay? We love you very much. And this is just wonderful to see this. I'm seeing pictures here that bring me back. One of them at the beach. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Ramona.
I like that beach.
I know, right? Ramona introduced me to my husband. She was dating one of his friends at Morgan State and thought that we would make a good couple. And it's been 49 years that we've been married. So she had good taste. And not only that, I was living in California, couldn't plan my wedding. Mona got married 2 weeks after I did, and she went shopping for the wedding dresses. Lord & Taylor had a sale on wedding gowns. Mona went. She saw a gown that she thought would be the perfect dress for me. All the dresses were $150. Now, you can imagine, this is back in 1968. Right, $150 on sale. Yes, the lady, the sales person, didn't put the correct price. She left out a zero. So the dress was $15 on the tag. And Mona made sure that she got the price on the tag. $15. So this beautiful wedding dress Ramona bought for me was $15.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was quite something else. Just an amazing woman, and she did an amazing job as a single mom with Christopher. We're just very proud of him. So, thank you for letting me talk and share.
These are awesome stories. Yeah.
I have more, but we don't have time.
You could say more.
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you,
Gail. Would someone else like to go next, or would you like me to ask
I just
the
want to
person
say
to go next?
Can I say something? Actually, excuse me. I'd like to say something. Gail, I've heard so much about you. This is Stephanie. I've heard so much about you, and now I'm hearing a voice to your face.
Oh.
Truly, she loved you. Yes, she loved you very much. You were her sister. You really were.
Yes, we were sisters from the beginning. It's amazing how that all came about. But from almost the first day, we were best friends. It was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. That's how I felt about her also. Okay.
That's beautiful. All right, thanks. Thank you, Gail. Melissa, would you like to go next? Is Melissa there?
You want to come down here? Come down. So watch out for this.
Ah, she's there with Christopher.
All right.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
My camera wave. You could see me waving.
Good afternoon, everyone. So
Hi.
I've been friends with Ramona. Can everyone hear me?
Actually, if we could get it a little closer to you, I think we can hear you a little bit better. Yeah, keep it close, Christopher, if you could. There we go.
It's okay.
Great.
Hold 1 second. All right, perfect. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Miss Ramona through Chris, through Charmaine, because Charmaine and I have been friends since 9 or 10 years old, like 4th grade. So in their dating and then marriage, I've had the pleasure of having the most unique conversations with Miss Ramona. I have to say, probably the first time was a birthday gathering that Charmaine and Chris had together, which they usually have in celebrating their birthdays. And I left the front porch and came into the living room, and Miss Ramona was in the kitchen, and we just started talking. And a 15-minute conversation turned into a 2-hour conversation. And I didn't even know so much time had passed, but we spoke on food and dating as in the world today. Comparison to some of her stories that she shared with me, and I was like, I am not living life yet. Really? She just had a unique ability to be able to draw out the wonderful qualities in people. And even for myself, I work a lot with community health, so I always give. And one of the things that I've learned from her is to make sure that I replenish myself in giving. She opened up a totally different avenue of spirituality that I had questions about, but where people were afraid to kind of delve into that. And she was ready, willing, and able. And she shared so much with me that was very enlightening for me and showed me to not be afraid of my own light. So I've learned so much from her, even more so in the last couple of years. And even in the last year, there will be times where I'm at work thinking about her, and I'll look at the time, and I get off of work, and I look at my cell phone, and at that same time that I was thinking of her, she would have called and left a message. There were times where I'm at home, she started sharing different readings with me, and I'm reading the books and getting really excited, and I'll look at the time thinking it's too late to call Miss Ramona, and then the phone would ring. And it was Miss Ramona, and as I said, a 15-minute conversation would turn into a 2-hour conversation. It got that much, so much between January and this summer that there were a couple times when I saw her on the caller ID, I was like, I can't talk for 2 hours right now. And so I answered the phone. I was like, Miss Ramona, this is really weird. Do you have like some type of security system in my apartment? How do you know I'm thinking about you? And she was like, I know what you're thinking. It's too late. You don't want to talk for too long. We'll just make it 5 minutes real quickly. And And 45 minutes later, we would still be chatting, but it was wonderful. So I hold that very close to my heart and know that even in her sharing her stories with me of archangels and angels, that we are protected by God, and truly her raising Chris and Chris becoming a part of Charmaine's life, and not only Charmaine being blessed by Chris, but I feel like I've gained a brother, and Miss Ramona was definitely a mother figure, but having her son still here reflects the love and the beauty that she was, and the uniqueness of her beauty, and her not being afraid to let that shine. So her allowing that to shine lets other people aware of it being okay for their shine to shine very brightly. So in that, I honor her, and I thank you, and we will carry on the love and the peace that she shared with other people.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you. She really was a mother figure. Really was a mother figure. That's beautiful. Okay. Alta, would you like to share a story now, or would you like someone else to go next? Would you like to share, Mom? Go ahead.
I'd like to share. I'm Stephanie. Ramona and I had the opportunity. I met Ramona at our church, and I had just given birth to my daughter, Jenna. And, you know, when you have a baby, it doesn't come with instructions. So, was my angel.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would a little irritate me because she was very, very particular. And we had the opportunity to go away to this spiritual retreat for 3 months. It was in Malibu, in California, and we were there. Christopher was with her, and Jenna was with me, and at that point, Jenna was 9 months old. And we roomed together as roommates. And this, the church had, the church had for parents and families, they rented like a hotel. I guess it was an apartment. But anyway, it was Christopher and Jenna, my daughter Jenna. Christopher, how old were you? Were you like about 4 or 5? How old were you? 6? 7. Okay, so 7, and Jenna was 9 months.
There she
and really, yeah, and Ramona was my mentor on motherhood.
Okay.
And I now that I'm listening to these stories, these memories are coming back, and it was a very, very special time. But that was one of her, I would say, attributes.
Her strength.
Her strength was because Christopher was everything to her. I mean, that was her purpose, one of her purposes. Yeah. And she was such a good mother, but she worked a lot. Anybody knew Ramona, she worked a lot. Yeah. And she'd have to divide herself. And so I just want to thank her spirit for being there for me as a mother, not knowing how to mother. And I'm very grateful for her presence. And it's amazing how God puts people in our life to help us. Yeah. And she was one of those angels that gave me that beginning. So I had to share that. Thank you.
That's a great story. Yeah. And I, you know, I remember your daughter. You know, I haven't seen your daughter since she was 9 months old, or maybe 2. And Jenna, I don't know if you remember me from your childhood, but you know, I used to babysit you too. That's kind of my role in all of this. I was babysitter. So I think the last time I saw you, I was carrying you like this.
Oh, that is so special. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and of course, we're Facebook friends, and we're birthday twins.
I know.
So it's nice to hear the other part of that story and how Ramona was such a part of you guys' life.
She was a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
Huge part of our lives.
Ramona also was very instrumental in my wedding. She made the wedding dresses.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, she made 2 out of 3. That's a story. I was always working on time. How would you say that, Christopher?
Oh, wait. Oh, that's great, Chris.
What's that picture?
That's me climbing on her?
What's that right there? Is that Tiny Jenna?
That's me climbing on Ramona. That's hilarious.
That's so
I have to apologize. I moved 4 months ago, and I have a plethora of pictures, but they're in storage, and I can't tell you where they are. But you're just going to have to imagine there's many, many pictures, and Ramona made the wedding dresses for my wedding, and she was very instrumental. Gail, are you there, Gail?
Yes, I am, and I remember when she was working on your wedding.
Yes.
That's
Oh my gosh. And I too, she was very helpful. I was able to get a wedding dress it was a very nice area on Ventura Boulevard in what city? Was it
Tarzana or Waseda?
No, anyway, it was
Encino
Sherman Oaks? Sherman Oaks. It was a very nice area. Sorry to say, a lady had some type of stroke or heart attack. She was going out of business, and I was able to get my wedding dress. And, you know, Ramona, when she set her mind to something, she was very much a mystic. She would pray for you, and I was able to get this wedding dress, I think, for $50 or $75, and I think the wedding dress was like it was like $1,000. It was some very very expensive.
It's like some wedding magic she's got.
Yeah, but you know,
wedding magic in these stories.
Ramona, she was very much a romanticist, and she was a storyteller, and that's how through her stories she wove this. She had a way of, I don't know, was it Melissa that said you would start off a conversation for 10 minutes and you knew it would be 2 hours? Yeah. But she had a way of captivating you with her stories, and they were all true. All true. Yeah. 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 So she was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Jenna, since you're right there? Did you have any other words to add?
I'll speak really quickly. I can. I think I'd like to just share a little story from when I was there for Chris and Charmaine's wedding. I had the honor of making sure Ramona showed up on time.
You know what? I think Christopher told me that was your job. I do believe he shared that.
It was, and I just my job. But I got to spend. I mean, she helped raise me, but I hadn't spent that much one-on-one time with her, and I don't even know. Maybe when me and my oldest child, Jonah, and Christopher and Ramona, we all went to Disney World when Jonah was maybe like 5. So I hadn't spent that much like one-on-one quality time with her in a long time. It had always been like a couple hours for a dinner or something like that. But we spent all this time together, the days, or the days leading up to the wedding. And it's so true. She was this amazing storyteller. I mean, I knew it, but maybe I had forgotten. I don't know. But she told me all of these amazing stories that were all true. And it was very captivating. She would tell you the story, and I would get so curious and ask all these questions. And I learned so much about their family. And it was really like a creative art or something. She had this really remarkable way of telling a really beautiful story, and I love that about her. It was really, really cool.
Very down to earth.
And we laughed. really funny. I mean, Chris is very funny too. So it was like this creative story with like lots of like mad jokes. It's just ridiculous. We were laughing a lot.
Yeah.
But what was
Beautiful.
so special about being with her as she was getting ready for Chris and Charmaine's wedding was just like her love for Christopher was literally kind of like you could feel it. You know, it was tangible. She wanted everything to be perfect, and that's what would slow her down. And I'm this very kind of, I'm really loving, but I'm really direct. So I'd be like, oh, that's so nice, but we got to go. You know, like we got to move this along. So perfect.
Chris knew what he was doing clearly in assigning
yes,
you
and I was
that
like,
task.
oh, I love it, but yeah, we got to move this along. Come on now. But she loved you so much, Chrissy. And, Chrissy. And
I love it.
wedding, and is somebody else coming on?
No, keep going. It's just the system is bouncing around.
Okay, I don't. Anyway, she just loved you, and she was so happy for you guys getting married, and she wanted everything to be so perfect. And I had to keep moving her along, but because she would have made it, I guess, perfect, you know. But she just loved you so much. She really did, and I could feel it in just how she wanted everything to be just right for your wedding, and all the stories that she told about raising you and raising us together. And she just was a remarkable woman. So that's all I wanted to share.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, do you want to tell your story? Paging Alta Hubbard.
I'm going to mute it, okay?
How you doing, Alta?
Hey, everybody.
We might have a technical issue. Can I hear you? Are you speaking? Mom? Okay, we'll come back to Mom.
Can you guys hear me?
Hopefully she's not having an issue. Mom, hi, Kenny, give me just a second. Mom, if you're having a technical issue, text me or Chris, okay? If you're having an issue, so we can help out. Okay. So, all right, Kenya, would you like to share?
I sure would.
All right.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hi, Kenya.
Hi.
I love your name.
Hey, you know what? Chris calls me Doobie.
Yeah.
For all the whole time that we've known each other, he and I met at IIT and have been sister and brother ever since. We've had quite a bit of adventures, and I won't go into any of them.
No? Oh, come on.
Except for one.
One little
Except for one. Chris hadn't called home in a few days. And his mom got worried. So she came to the gym, and we were there playing pickup basketball. And all we could hear, we were at the other end of the court, and I could hear this little voice say, Christopher! Oh, my God. The guys clowned him for days. Because of it. And if anybody's seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite, when he runs off, that's how Chris ran off. Hey, greet Miss Ramona. So, you know what? I've been blessed to, just have him in my life and to have her in my life. Folks that you don't see all the time, but they've made an impact in your life. She was one of those people. So she attended my wedding. And I do have a picture, you guys.
Share. Let's see.
Yeah, can you see that?
There's Ramona. I see Chris. Can you slide it over a little bit, and we see who's the other person to the left of Chris?
And that's April.
There we go. There it is. Beautiful.
Yeah. So I just pulled this picture out of my wedding book, and that was the first picture I went to when I heard the news. So. But I just want to let you guys know that I am here for you. I love you. I'm actually going to catch the plane. I'm still active duty military. So
wow.
This whole time I've been cooking for my family because I got to get out of town here in a couple hours. But when I am home, then I usually cook up a bunch of meals and that's one of the things that Chris and I have shared over the time is some great meals together.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to moving back home to Chicago so I can be there and be able to give you all the hugs in the world. And I love you guys.
Thank you, Kenya.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Kenya. Kenya, what branch of the military do you serve in?
I'm in the Air Force.
The Air Force? Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll retire next year, so you guys get ready.
Awesome.
Yeah. So have a blessed afternoon. I have to sign off now, but, man, it hurts my heart that I'm not there in Chicago with you, Chris.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love you, brother.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Love you, Charmaine.
Thank
you. Bye.
Talk to you guys.
Thank you, Kenya. I love your name.
Bye.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I see my mom waving. Hi, Alta. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. I can hear you now. We can hear you now. Okay. Do you want to share your story?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you.
Okay, great. That's my mom, everybody. Alta.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to hear these beautiful stories about Ramona and especially Christopher. Thank you for putting these photos up for us because your mom is so beautiful. She radiates so much love and joy. And I just am sorry I haven't seen her in the past few years. And Beth told me recently after a conference or something that your mom said hi. And I really wanted to reach out to her at that time, and I regret that I did not. So I'm very grateful that you're giving me this opportunity to share a few memories of her.
Yeah.
So I always remember that your mother and I would meet each other running across the campus at Camelot, or we would be up at the retreat in Montana, going in opposite directions, and she would stop and say, "Have you seen Christopher?" And I'd say, "No, but have you seen Beth and Nancy?" And we would say, "Well, when you see him, tell him I'm going to this place or the other."
Yeah.
And that seems to be our major contact, right, is looking for our beloved children.
Yeah.
So many times she and I would try to get together to have a visit in person. Mm-hmm. And her work schedule or my schedule, we didn't seem, and you know, your mother was always working double shifts, so it was really hard to get to her. Yeah. So one Saturday, we were determined that we were going to spend some time together in person, not just on the phone. And it turned out that that night before she left, they asked her to do a double shift. So naturally, she got home at 7 or 8 in the morning. But we made a plan that she, even though she was very tired, she couldn't sleep. So she said, "If you're willing to come over and visit with me in my bed, in my bedroom, we can still have this visit." So I did. And I remember that she had a huge bed with a very thick, big headboard, very old-fashioned. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of amazed by that. And she had a ton of pillows, and she was all propped up, and she looked like a queen, or, you know, one of these Hollywood stars, you know, that they show propped up in their bed with silk sheets, you know. And we sat there for 2 or 3 hours talking, and me mostly listening. And my kids can tell you I'm a big talker, but with Ramona, I was the listener.
If you do most of the listening, that's saying something.
Yes. And I did hear the story about how you were brought into this world, Christopher. And it was so sweet, and it was so wonderful to hear you playing it for us today. So I remember we told stories. I listened to her stories, and then she started to doze off. And so it was like my audience was ended. And it was time for me to go home. But I never forgot that because no one has ever been that personal and intimate in a friendship in that way.
Yeah.
So I always cherished Ramona. I always saw her loving spirit, her joy. And I don't think I have known anyone to work more shifts, more hours, and with more gratitude and grace and joy than Ramona. And I just extend my heart's love to you, Christopher, and your beautiful family. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to celebrate your mother's life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. I have a lot of memories of you and Ramona.
Yeah.
And Christopher. And, yes, you are very much a talker. And I love that Ramona could out-talk you. I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed by that. I just want you to know.
It was wonderful.
Okay, thanks. So would anyone else like to share? I know I have a few names here. I think that April and Lauren both said they wanted to share, and I think they have not done that yet. Would either of you ladies like to share?
April's going to go. April's going to go. Lauren, you're after April.
April? Okay, April. Hi, April. Hi, April girl. How you doing? Hey, girl.
Hi.
April.
Thank you very much for letting me talk. I absolutely love my brother Chris and his mom. I just called her Mom. I knew her for about 10 years before I knew her actual name. Yeah.
I have some ladies in my life like that.
Wonderful, just a joy. One of the things, my mom died early, and she was so much fun to talk to about the passing of my mom because of her mom. See, you're going to be confused. Mom. Because of her just beautiful and unique view of transition and of the change from physical life to non-physical life. And I really loved talking to her about her particular spirituality and what she learned through the 70s. And there are things that we just don't know because we went through the 80s where everybody was talking about money. But she shared stories in the 70s where everybody was talking about love and freedom and peace. So I absolutely adored talking to her. That picture that Doobie shared was one of the times that we really had fun talking about everybody at Doobie's wedding. I love how direct she was. Never pulled a plan. You never had to guess what she was thinking. That's my favorite. I absolutely loved her. We'll always love her, still love her. As I said, there's so many people who truly believe that there is no such thing as death, only a transition to a broader and fuller life. That this physical experience that we have is just a frozen moment in time, and as soon as you get done with that frozen moment, you're timeless, and you get to enjoy and watch and cheer for all your loved ones. And there was no one she loved more than Chris April. That was an amazing thing to watch. That dedication, that devotion that they had between each other that went both ways. That no matter what, if somebody, the president called and said, "I'm going to die if you don't show up," Chris would be like, "Well, my mom, I'm going to check. I'm going to see. If she doesn't need anything, maybe I can help you guys." I never met a more dedicated son. I think that's just phenomenal, and I've always been, and I always admired him for that. For so many young, even when he's really young, so many young people are just like, "Oh, Mom, whatever." It's not Chris. What'd you say? Touch the heart, got this. And that's probably a function too of how amazing she was, because she wasn't one of those moms who are just spouting whatever. She had true wisdom to share, true love, true joy, just an embodiment of joy, I would say. So I I am grateful to have known them, and Chris and Dewey and Adrian. We met back in the 90s. Gosh, forever ago. But I'm looking forward to many, many more years of joy and storytelling. So I would say if you have stories, when my mom died, one of the best things that people sent me were stories that I didn't know about her. So if you guys have stories about Chris's mom that Chris doesn't know, I say write them down or call him up and share them with them, because in the next few years it'll be a good, a good time. You continue learning about your loved ones and about your parents even after they're gone. When they're not gone. All right, that's all I have to share. Thank you so much for letting me talk. I appreciate it.
Thank you, April. April, you're a sweetheart. Okay. Lauren? Sister Lauren?
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, can
and
you see
we
me
can
too?
see you.
My family.
Hi, family. Hi, family. You looking good.
Hi, there. How's everyone today?
Good. We're good. You and I have never met, but I knew your brother when he was 7 years old. So it's so good to meet you on the interwebs.
Yes, only my brother could make something like this happen.
I know, right?
So we respect things like that.
Right to you.
What do you say?
Introduce the people to the left and to the right of you.
Oh, this is Paul Curry. Yay! You can tell by the nose. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Mom.
Charmaine.
We are the other half of the Currys. We are the New York Curry.
we're the New York contingency.
Yes. Where he originated before he decided to become a West Coast boy.
Okay. That's my hometown, New York.
So how's this work? Like I read and then I show the picture, or what should I do?
Well, the picture's up already, so.
Is it? I don't see it.
Yes. We're looking at your picture right now, so you can go ahead and share your story. Yeah, magic of technology. Technology magic.
Ooh, fancy. I thought I was going to have to show it from my phone. Okay, so I'm going to read what I wrote just so, I don't forget anything that I said. But, as you can see, that's a picture of Ramona and I. This picture was taken about 10 years ago. When, the second time that I came to visit Chris, because the first time I came, I was maybe about 16. So this is this is the second time where I was definitely grown. My brother dropped me off at the Amtrak. He told me figure out how to get to Milwaukee all by myself, not to Milwaukee, to Wisconsin all by myself. And because I really wanted some cheese, he was like, well, I'm doing my own thing and you're grown, you can figure it out. And he dropped me off downtown and I got on the Amtrak train. So, but this picture is of Ramona and I because she met me back at the house. And I want to say that Chris was probably doing flag football. My brother loves to be a very active young man. And so for hours, Ramona talked to me about being in New York and being in California and Minnesota and Chicago and telling me funny stories about my dad because I am the youngest. So, I know him to be who he is now. But, to find out about young 27-year-old Paul is, weird. But that's good to hear about young 27-year-old Ramona, because, what I know about Chris was about his life in California, which was very different about her life growing up in New York because it was a very important part of her life. But it was, even though she was in California for so long, that she still just had, a lot of roots. She knew my aunt, which I didn't know at the time. They were really close. She just told me about how they would hang out, and I was like, well, that's weird. You guys were young once, I guess. You just don't think about that when you're growing up. And she had stories, funny stories that I don't even know if she told Chris, but it was really nice to speak to her. She talked to me about, religion, about being very spiritual, and just being really a special person. So, of course, like, the theme here is that Ramona really did love Chris because that was her baby, but she loved a lot of people. Like, she loved working in the nursery. She would tell me how she would, like, hold babies and just to soothe them because, like, she just loves to comfort other people. And I thought that was just so interesting because I didn't know that that's what nurses did. And then when I had my daughter in the hospital that she used to work in. She used to work in Roosevelt. So after for the first time when I was 16, she always used to send me letters at least once or twice a year just to tell me, like, how special. Because I'm not her biological daughter, but she always made me feel that you are my son's family, you are my family. You know, like, we still carry the same name. This, like, your father is honored to have these kids to be his. Like, that's how she would always frame it because, you know, we are special all together. Like, I love Chris, but I love you all. And then once I told her that I had my daughter in Roosevelt, she just felt even more connected. So then she would include over in all the letters and all the notes about just how special we were together. So Ramona, and she didn't have to do that. Like, doing the old school correspondence of letters and cards was just, like, something that I never thought would kind of disappear. But it's now something I think about, like, she really took the time and dedication to, like, write something, which is a lot to do. And that's just how she was, to just show people how much she cared. So, she was great. And so the theme is, like, we love Chris.
Oh. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, it's so nice to meet you.
And that picture was in his old apartment. Where do you live? On North Street? Something like that. Green Street something? I don't know.
Greenview.
What was it?
Greenview.
Greenview. I know what you're saying.
Hold the speaker, Chris.
Greenview.
Oh, Greenview. Whatever.
There we go. The microphone.
Yeah, speaking to the mic.
Yeah. Excellent.
Christopher.
Well, like,
yes.
Stephanie.
This is Stephanie. Do you remember the story Ramona told about coming home from the hospital late one night? She did a shift at in some area of Chicago where there was a lot of gangs, drugs, or whatever hospital, and she had to walk somewhere, and she had the meatloaf in her pocketbook, and she had to walk back. What is it? Okay, Ramona got off of work one night, and she didn't eat her meatloaf sandwich, or she didn't eat some kind of sandwich that had these meat, whatever it was. But she had to walk. I don't know if she had to walk to her car, where maybe her car was broken, and she had to get on the train and do stuff. Yeah. So she had to walk through an area of Chicago from the hospital to get to where she needed to go. Well, this area that she had to walk through was it was interesting as far as drama, kind of dangerous, right? It was the hood? It was the hood. It was good. Okay. She had, okay.
Euphemism. It was dangerous. She was in the hood. Okay.
Dangerous. All right, it was dangerous.
Hospital on the west side.
Tell the truth,
But anyway, anybody know Ramona, she's a storyteller, right? Well, she didn't eat her sandwich because she worked this crazy shift, and the dogs were following her. But the dogs were following her because they smelled the meatloaf sandwich. So when she went past all the gangs, they just looked at her because she had the dogs with her. Okay. And Ramona was called. Right. So she, Ramona, like the angels had the dogs were following her because of the meatloaf, but they were really her guardians. But you had to hear Ramona tell the story.
That's great.
And it's hysterical.
That's great. That's a great one.
And they were her guardians to get through wherever she needed, but she later realized that the reason, she didn't know why the dogs were following her, but she realized it was because of the meatloaf sandwich. But they were her guardians.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh, God. That's great.
Did she share that with
Yeah, she told that story. I remember.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's on the west side of Mount Sinai. She had to walk like 2 blocks.
Mount Sinai? Was that in New York?
No, it's in the west side of Chicago, southwest.
Chicago, okay. I only asked because there's a Mount Sinai hospital in New York, and that's where I was born. So for a second, I was like, oh, my gosh. Ramona was at my hospital. All right. Thank you, Stephanie. So I think everybody else on our list has spoken except for me. So I guess it's my turn to tell my story.
Wait, Bess, we have a spontaneous.
Oh, go. Go,
spontaneous. I have a very, very short story.
Yes, please introduce. Tell us your name and how you know Ramona and Chris.
So I'm Jewel. Chris is my BFF here in Chicago.
Hey, Jewel.
Hi. So my very quick story is I had met Ramona a few times before Chris and Charmaine got married. But for part of their wedding, I did a little bit of wedding planning for them, and that included get-to-know-you games at the rehearsal dinner. And we sat down together and we decided one of the activities we were going to do to help the families come together and get to know each other and all the people coming from all over the country is that we were going to do a little game where everyone would sit down wherever they were going to sit down, and we would do some questions, and then if the question applied to you, you would stand up. So, if you came here from more than 250 miles away, stand up. And people who came from California and everywhere else stood up and things like that. And Chris insisted that we include a question that was, have you ever been arrested? And I said, are you sure you really want to put this one in the, in the wedding, get to know you? The families are just meeting for the first time. He's like, no, it'll be great. I was like, okay. So we get to the point where everyone is seated and the question is, okay, so if you've ever been arrested, stand up. And up comes Ramona. And I thought to myself, I have got to get to know this lady better.
Oh, my God. You know what, though? I think I know this story. I think I know that story. You know what? I think I know that story.
Interlude, Bess, into your 2 stories then.
Can anybody know that?
So, you know what? I think I know the arrest story, and Mom, you might know this too. So I might have 3 little
Stephanie
stories.
knows it as well.
That's okay.
She was proud.
So I have 2 big memories from Ramona. One from my childhood, when I knew Christopher and Jenna, and we were all little kids. I was maybe 14 when they were little younger, and Ramona worked a lot of long hours, and so at one point I was Christopher's babysitter when Ramona was working the late shift, and this must have been a summer. It must have been like during summer break that I was doing this from what I could remember. And so Ramona would come to our house and pick me up and drive me to her house. And it was the evening time because she was working a late shift. So I might be in my, pajamas or, dressed comfortably because I was going to hang out on the couch, and be comfortable, bring homework or read a book or something like that. And Christopher was little. How old were you, Christopher? Do you remember? You were maybe 8 or 7 or 9?
7, 8.
7 and 8?
Yeah.
So I was Christopher's babysitter, and I would come over at night. And I would stay all night, and then when Ramona's shift was over, she would come back and pick me up and take me home. And the thing that I remember the most about that was the conversations that Ramona and I would have when she was picking me up and taking me back, and sometimes in between. Sometimes she'd get off work, and we'd talk and talk and talk before we get in the car and head back. And the thing is, Ramona was a woman, and I was a very young child. I was maybe 14, and I was a really shy kid in those days. I'm not really anymore. That might be hard to believe, but I was a very shy child. And sometimes I could be very, very quiet. And, so when Ramona would talk to me, though, she would just talk to me almost like we were two adults. Like she would talk to me, she would ask me about my life. She would just share stories and share wisdom and share insights and just relate to me. And I remember just sort of, I didn't articulate it this way, but she was another one of those, mother figures in my life. My mom was a single parent. She was a single parent. And she would just relate to me and talk to me. And it made me feel embraced and cherished. And I loved Christopher, and so I always enjoyed babysitting Christopher, and he was always very adorable and very cute. And because you were. Because you know you were. You know you're cute. And it was like having a little brother because, I don't have a brother. I have a younger sister, Nancy, who some of you know. And she's my younger sister, and so there was a really simple experience, but it made a permanent impression on me, and it really made me feel cherished at a time when I was, was starting to come out of my shell. I just, for some reason, I kind of was a super shy child. So that's the first story. The second story, I think Ramona told me when I saw her again, not this summer, but the summer before, so a year and a half ago. And as I think a couple people have mentioned, our spiritual church has a retreat. They have a ranch in Montana, and they used to have these annual camping extravaganzas, these conferences where thousands of people would converge on this raw wilderness land in the mountains of Montana, which still looks like those movies, those John Wayne movies from the Wild West. It's just like miles and miles and miles of untouched land. It's like 30 miles from between houses, It's 80 miles to the next town. Montana is still like that, So if you live in Chicago or New York or L.A., I was born in New York and raised in L.A., this is like a completely, reverse experience from urban living. So, in those days, people would come, and it was very much a camping experience. So people brought tents, people had, they wore their hiking boots. We dressed in layers because it would be hot during the day and cold at night. There wasn't a lot of fanciness. There were no fancy outfits or anything like that. It was all very like camping wilderness gear. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun as a kid, being up there and running around and being, free and being in nature. So I say that because, in the years since they first purchased that property and we used to go up there camping, they have built more things. So now, you have paved sidewalks, you have permanent structures, with electricity and plumbing, and light fixtures, and ladies can plug in their their hot rollers so they could do their hair and do their makeup. So now if you come to the ranch in Montana, you see ladies in heels and wearing makeup and lipstick and in pretty dresses, and gentlemen in their their spring attire, and not a lot of camping gear. You don't see so many. But so Ramona had not been to the ranch in some time. So when she came last summer, when I saw her, she was in her hiking boots and her layers and her parka, and she was all ready for a wilderness camping, experience, survival-esque experience. And I remember Christopher had come to LA and we had had dinner, and so we had each other's phone numbers. So when he knew I was coming to Montana, so then as I'm making my way, I'm getting a lot of texts from Christopher. And Christopher is texting me, and he goes, Beth, when you get to the ranch, can you find my mom and, find out, if she needs anything, because I'm trying to call her and I can't reach her. So I'm thinking this is really adorable, you know. And I'm like, great. First, I'm like glad I'm going to see Ramona. I'm really glad I reconnected with Christopher and we got to see each other. And so I'm like, of course, I'm going to get them to see Ramona. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to help out. So, you know, then I see Ramona and I see, you know, she's in her camping gear and everything. But, you know, and Christopher keeps texting me. He's like, okay, Beth, I'm like, hey, Chris, you know, I haven't seen your mom yet, but I'll be sure to tell her. And I'm wondering, like, why is Chris having so much trouble reaching his mom? So I finally see Ramona, and she's telling me, she said, you know, I hadn't been to the ranch in so long. So, you know, we were camping last time, so I made sure I packed my hiking boots. And, you know, I couldn't remember if I needed a sleeping bag or so she was telling me all this stuff she was trying to remember to bring. And then she said, but girl, I forgot my makeup bag. And so she had no lipstick, she didn't have any blush, and of course Ramona is a natural beauty with like this radiant, you know, ageless, you know, beautiful skin. But she's like, girl, I left my makeup bag. You know, she was just like, so I said to her, I told her, I said, well, you know, Christopher has been texting me, you know, do you have your phone or something like that? And I can't remember what it was, if she had lost her phone or if it wasn't working in Montana. She couldn't use it. She had her phone, but she couldn't use it. So I had Verizon by that time, so my phone worked. So I was like the communication intermediary during her visit to Montana. But Christopher was really worried that, you know, she had a place to sleep and like, do I need to overnight a sleeping bag to her? You know, I was getting
that was the point. She didn't have a sleeping bag. She didn't bring her sleeping bag.
She did not bring her sleeping bag, and she was worried about that because she assumed that she needed it. But as it turns out, she did not. She stayed in a lovely, you know, cabin that had all the modern conveniences that she was not anticipating for. But aside from forgetting her sleeping bag and her makeup bag, she was fully prepared for a wilderness experience. She could have gone off hiking by herself, and she would have been comfortable and warm and dry because she had prepared for that, but she didn't need it.
And I want to make a comment to that, Beth, because when I dropped Ramona off, she was so amazed. She was, now that I remember that story, she was so amazed that where she was living, she showed me the showers. She showed me
They got plumbing. They got plumbing now.
It was a sitting area, and then she took me around where there was towels and everything. There was like 3 or 4 showers, and she just wanted me to see how everything was so lovely. And she was saying, girl, if I had false teeth, she said, I couldn't believe that it was so nice compared back in the day when we had to rough it.
That's right. It was tense. It was raw wilderness survival camping.
Tent City.
That's right. That's true. So, and the other thing about my experience of seeing her again a year and a half ago is that, you know, every time I would run into her, she would stop and talk to me. And she would ask me about my life and how I'm doing. And she would tell me about Christopher. And she told me all about Charmaine and how much she loved that Christopher had found Charmaine and that she was so happy for him. And she shared a couple little stories that I don't recall at the moment. But she was also like, you know, I'm a single woman. I'm a very independent lady. And so what I'm noticing is starting to happen, like older friends of mine, they start asking me about my personal life, you know, like they're getting ready to go through their Rolodex or something, you know. But she didn't do that. But what she did was she just shared a little bit of like wisdom, you know, a little bit of like life relationship wisdom with me. And some more stories, and it just kind of took me back to when I was that little girl, and she would just talk to me and embrace me with her conversation. And one of the stories. Now that brings me back to the prison question. because I believe this was a year and a half ago when I last saw her that she told me this story. And I remember part of it, and I think the other part that I remember was her telling me about it. And I remember that it might have been like, and maybe you remember this too, Mom, but I remember maybe it was like an unpaid ticket or something like that. And in those days, you know, in those days they were a little ridiculous, and they had come and Ramona was like, spent the night, you know, the cops came and she spent the night somewhere because there was a ticket they wanted her to pay for. So I believe she called you, Mom, and we got in the car and drove out there. And we came and got her. And I do remember that. I do remember. But what I think I remember Ramona sharing with me about that was that she told me at one point that she was meditating. This is a little bit of a spiritual story, that she was meditating on the concept of freedom. And I think she told me that she had said a prayer in her heart asking God to teach her the meaning of freedom. And the story that she told me was, she said, and then this happened to her, and we came in to get her. She, you know, they did whatever they needed to do, like pay a fine or whatever, and then she was being released. And she said that when she got to that last door, the guard that was there, he said something very rude to her, and he kind of like stopped, like he was not going to open the door. And I don't remember what she said, but like he stopped and he stood in her way. And in that moment, there was nothing that she really could have done about it. But she had that moment of realizing that this was an experience where someone, if they chose to, could interfere with her freedom. And so, you know, he was playing a cruel joke, and he eventually stepped aside and she left. And she said she never forgot that moment because she felt like that moment was the lesson that she had been praying about understanding the meaning of freedom. And I remember her telling that story, and it really kind of hit me. And so I think those are all the stories that I have to share. But, you know, I just want to also say to you, Christopher, that I love you very much. And you're like the brother I never had. And I know we hadn't seen each other for many years, but then we have reconnected. And I think you're stuck with me at this point.
Of course.
So don't be surprised if there's a knock at the door. You know, I'm going to get a parka. You know, I'm going to get some snow boots. I'm going to figure that out. And then, you know, that's going to happen.
Awesome.
So,
yeah,
we have to meet you.
And I would love to meet you too, Charmaine. I can't wait to meet you in person, Charmaine, and give you a hug. I'm so glad Christopher found you, and I'm so glad that you're by his side while he's going through this.
Thank you.
And I know Ramona, you know, said a lot of beautiful things to me about you, and that he was so glad that her beloved son had found the right woman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He just passed the mic to me, so I think I'm next.
Okay. All right. I will stop talking, please. Okay. Hi, Charmaine.
Hello. So I met Chris on May of 2011, and I didn't meet Ramona Curry until December. So all that time, I was kind of a little bit scared to meet the possible future mother-in-law, because here's Chris, you know, she's a single mom. He's the only child. I'm like, uh-oh. He's definitely going to be a mama's boy. Every time we get a phone call from her, the caller ID would say, Mommy. I'm like, oh, my God, Mommy? Really? So when I met her, she was very welcoming to me and my family, and she's never shown anything other than love toward us. They say that you marry a woman that's similar to your mom. So I don't know if me and her had a lot in common, but I can think of some things. Food. She loves to cook, and I love to eat. So that worked out well.
Perfect.
I mean, she not only, that's one thing she always did, was she always watched these, like,
cooking shows, and she'll talk about these master chefs and things that they do, and I'd just be like, okay, that's great. I can't wait to try it, because she would experiment on food, and then when she did make us food, she'd make enough for like 25 people, and we had leftovers for like a whole week or even more.
Wow.
Thanksgiving was her favorite holiday, so she'd take a whole week to prepare, and Chris has to like help her with the preparation, and I just show up to the meal, so it was great.
Wow.
The storytelling, I think Chris picked up on that, because if everyone knows him, he likes to tell stories, and they kind of go off on a tangent sometimes, but I've learned that he always says that you have to give context. You have to give context. And with Mrs. Curry, she'd tell her story, and every so often she'll say, to make a long story short, but she'll say that like 10 times, because her story was never short. It was always short. But again, they're very like, she'd always have some sort of like reason or purpose of telling that, and there are a lot of times she'd laugh. She'll laugh about herself, which is, and I love her laugh, and that's one thing I'm gonna miss, is that giggle that she had.
Right.
Oh, the cooking thing also. She was. We entered her on a chili cooking contest at a church here, and she won second place out of like 10 recipients. So that's just to prove that she knew how to cook, and she rocked that. Shopping. I mean, I like to shop. She loves shopping online. What is it, QVC or all the time. One time I told Chris, I'm like, I'm going to take your mom to Walmart with me, and he's like, are you crazy? She doesn't have a list. She just goes. So I said, I'll be fine. So we walked in. She was looking at something. I said, I'm just going to go really quick and get something. I come back. She was gone. And I walked around the store twice looking for her. I could not find her. I don't know if she was like hiding or what. I mean, I called Chris. I was like, I can't find your mom. He's like, I told you. But eventually I did. It took a while. She was like wandering other places. And then she's like, oh, I still have to go here. I'm like, I'll just follow you. So, what else? Well, I guess the only real main thing that we have in common is our love for Chris. We both love him dearly. He is the light for both of us. He's, we equally shared his love. And one thing I'm very thankful for is that he taught Chris how to be a man, be respectful, show kindness, all those values that I'm looking forward to, like, talking about with our future children, and how great Grandma Ramona was. And we're looking forward to that. So we're going to miss her. We love you.
Yeah, we love you. Thanks, Jermaine.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
I guess this is a spontaneous. Any other I need to testify moment.
Yeah. Who else would like to share? Any other thoughts or feelings?
Hello. You got anything to share? As April said. Oh, yeah.
All right. This is Stephanie again.
I heard it slow.
Okay.
Stephanie.
All right. I guess I am Ramona's friend because I'm chatty too.
Yeah.
I'm worse than you, Alta. I don't know. I haven't talked to you in so long, and I would love to see you, Alta. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I want
to. Stephanie. It's a three-way tie, Stephanie.
Yeah, but this is for you, Christopher. I found this today, and I felt like I asked Ramona to talk to me, and this is what came. And I don't know if it's me or her, but I know her well enough to know she would want this for you. Okay, so this is for you, Christopher. Okay.
All right.
There is a proverb: great mothers, great sons. Do not fear difficulties. Display readiness to meet all obstacles, for each obstacle strengthens you to future victories. Try, Christopher, to love the difficulties and say, blessed be the obstacles, through them we grow. Strive toward your calling. Meditate and listen to your heart. The heart is the great cosmic magnet, a calling for an infinity of experiences of achievements, infinity of knowledge, construction, and beauty. And that's it.
Oh,
Beautiful.
how beautiful.
Okay, so beautiful, Stephanie.
That's beautiful.
That's super.
So like April says, if you don't feel ready to testify right now, I would love, through the power of mail or email, you jot down that story. You could either say it's not for the masses, or you say it's just for me. If it's for the masses, I will definitely figure out a medium to share it so other people can hear this great story as well. I am going to get slightly comfortable so I can talk and then still be my technical director. I'm just going to pull the laptop closer.
Excellent.
All right, you guys can still see me, right?
Yeah.
We can see you. Sorry.
Oh.
That's baby Jenna.
Yeah, baby Jenna. As I had hoped, everyone here has provided a hub for the next pieces of what I wanted to talk about. So, I mean, you guys already did the big pieces, so I guess I don't have to really share that much. And the main thing I wanted to talk about were the things that made my mom, Ramona, happy and the things she enjoyed.
Yeah.
And as everyone has stated and kind of made mention about, was her laughter. And if people are able to listen to the video that I showed before the program started, as Charmaine said, she would be able to laugh at her own stories or just laugh, you know. At a very early age, I understood that laughter was a very powerful thing in our house. What was really rare was when it was organic, when it wasn't forced.
Right.
When my mom would have a big belly laugh where she could barely talk. It was amazing. Part of that amazement was the many times there's no rhyme or reason. Just she would tell a story and just start cracking up or laughing. It'd be something that she saw on TV, a memory, a situation at work, or something that she said that was really, you know, or something I said, but I wasn't really trying to be funny. Again, I just loved it. It made me happy when she would be in a deep laughter, and to feel other words from people is that it was her laughter was food to my soul. It will be something I will miss. Now, when I would think about it, though, because I was curious because it was like mystifying, like how to make her laugh or where the laughter came from. Because she said that she didn't like slapstick, right, comedy. So she didn't like when I would watch The Three Stooges. She was like, I'm not into it. You know, she said because they were beat up on each other, so she didn't like that form of comedy. But now this is just one of the many examples of her unique sense of humor. And one thing we shared, and I'll talk about it a little later on, is that we shared going to the movies. And one movie that I know parts in the movie, I still go, really? That was funny? Is that she loved the movie Bowfinger with Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy. And if anyone hasn't seen the movie, I recommend it. It's silly. There's two scenes that she liked. Was one when Eddie Murphy had to walk across this, moving freeway. And Steve Martin was like, oh, you can do it. These are just stunt drivers. And, Eddie Murphy's character was like, oh, and, just the whole sequence and how Martin was just still kind of like pretending, like, oh, this is real. But it was really, he was going to get potentially hurt. So she was cracking up there. But another thing, which I think about, too, is like, well, I don't know how racist she's laughing at this situation because there's a scene in the movie where Steve Martin needed to get a low-cost film crew, and he was at the border picking people up from Mexico, and people were shooting at him. She was just cracking up at the situation. So I was like, well, okay.
A little bit incorrect laughter.
And again, everyone has stated this, is that if you met her, she would tell stories, and she loved the stories, and she'd crack up at herself. And so again, as you saw in the video or heard, or everyone else shared that information. So again, I will, as you can see in the picture here with Jenna messing with her, she had a joy and laughter that I will miss. The next thing is that, I don't know if anyone ever heard her, she would say, I am a camper, right? And then Beth helped, provide a little entry into is that she went to Montana, and she was prepared to rough it, to go out there and just get out there and experience nature. And so in the very early ages, she had the opportunity to go to a camp called Camp Minnesink, and I'll kind of minimize the screen here so people can see the other piece. Camp Minnesink was a camp upstate, and she would go many years, and it was part of also a society called the Order of the Feathermen as well. So she would tell these stories, and I mean, I don't think we have enough time if I were to go into them, but she felt going to Camp Minnesink saved her life. She had, a stepdad and mom, their drama, the concrete jungle, and just getting away into nature was what helped her and commune and, fill her soul that way. So she had countless stories about her adventures with Captain Splash and the BBMs, the night riding, the prison break, so that's a good story, the bull, and the sour apples. So if you see the pictures here, this is a photo of when she was a junior counselor and she was 16. This is the cast of a play that they're doing for Little Abner. Little Abner was a comic strip that was connected to the story of Sadie Hawkins. So, and then here's the campgrounds where she went. And as you can see before, and everyone has talked about the time up in Montana, up in the ranch. And that was one of the things she really enjoyed, is to conquer the elements. And she would, like anything, you got to iterate. So I remember our first time going up there, and up until that time, and I was 10, I've had the appropriate amounts of meals. But she didn't know that at that altitude, a grill with the lighter, the fuel, was depressurized, and so it wouldn't work. So we didn't have a grill, and it's too hard, and we didn't have wood and stuff. So the food and stuff that we brought, eventually went bad. But the point was that at a certain period of time, we didn't have any food, and I remember my stomach growling big and I being weak, But the next couple of years, she figured it out, the right camping grill, and did properly. Because again, she would also tell a story how she'd have eggs, and then put the eggs in the crick, and then keep them cool, but then they would eventually explode somehow. So, so when she found Church Universal and Triumphant, she was over the moon for the fact that at Camelot and also up there in Montana, Camelot in California, that there was nature, and the nature was a core value of the church, and she wanted me to as well commune with nature and to, I'm not a survivalist, but be able to be a camper and appreciate that time out in nature. And I do. I look forward to the next time I do camping, and I would pay homage to my mom by doing that, so I can pass these skills on to our family as well. So the people who hear Sandy, I went camping with Sandy and her family, and some other friends from Charmaine from work. I went camping with April too. That's right.
Right on.
I went camping with April as well. So definitely look forward to doing it again. It was one of the things that my mom was proud of doing.
Mm-hmm. My mom was a big camper too before we went to Montana.
So the next section I kind of cobbled together was her as a healer. I think she would say this a couple times, a labor of love. My mom worked 40 years as a registered nurse. I believe she worked in every department, on the floor, emergency room, burn unit, dialysis, med-surg, ICU, CCU, pediatrics, and neonatal. A lot of kids don't know what their parents do. But at a very early age, I knew what my mom did as a profession. And I was very proud of her. At the age of 7, while we were at church in California, I saw her and this other medical professional jump into action to give this man CPR and save his life. We're in the pews, and it was interesting. I was there with her, and again, she tells the story differently, how I saw it from my point of view, but it was like, I saw her, like she said, and again, from what I saw, like she was having this nonverbal communication with this other medical professional because she saw this other person in some type of distress. And without saying anything, they leaped into action to give that person CPR and to help that person out. And from that point, I was very impressed with what she did and how she did it. And I guess as a latchkey kid, I got to see more of my mom's life at work because she had to bring me to work many times because she didn't have a babysitter. But I think that was a benefit, because later on in life, I got to see hospitals as not as a place of death, but as a place of hope. So I didn't have a problem walking in and like, the hospital is great, and again, seeing her, like when like the helicopters would come down and bring a person, I got to see that. I got to see my mom take someone off, the helicopter. And so, obviously, she had many stories about the adventures at work. Again, that could be another mini series about that. Too many to share here. Of course, she did have stories about the days that were hard and why she didn't like the politics of the job. But there are some people who run from the fire, and then there are those who run towards the fire. My mom was one of those people who ran towards the fire. She was a first responder. And I'm glad she got to see me serve in the military in some capacity as a first responder and continue the tradition. And you can see here from this picture, it's one of her first, one of her gigs. She worked at Cornell, and you can see here on Gail. And I think I wasn't sure if this is either she was a candy striper or this was part of her graduation cycle. So I'm not sure. Gail would probably verify that.
Christopher?
Yes.
Christopher?
Yes.
It's Aunt Gail. Yes, that's when she graduated from nursing school. The candy striping went on when we were in high school.
Right.
She convinced me to be a candy striper like she was, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And we were at Columbia Presbyterian Babies Hospital. So that's when she really got into working with the babies and loving the babies, and that's kind of what started it all. But this picture is when she graduated from nursing school.
So I don't know all the people who she touched via her nursing career. So I just brought up this picture here of just New York has, 8-point-something million people. Los Angeles, similar number. San Francisco, Minneapolis, and then Chicago. So it's just a quick snapshot of she's had touching people's lives. And so, and I think I didn't have time to research, but another story she told me of like she would, sometimes drop some names of the people that she was like, yeah, I have that person. One story I think, and hopefully I'm not telling it wrong, is that the guy, the Samoan guy, Hawaiian guy, who wrote Tiny Bubbles, was a patient in California with her at one time.
Okay.
And then
Don Ho?
Say again?
Don Ho.
That might be Don Ho.
Don Ho.
What about the big guy, the big, more robust guy?
Okay.
I don't know. Either Don Ho or another person who as well sang that song in some way. But then, but again, from just our connection from the church, so our friend Matthew Brailsford, his dad Horace, had gotten in a really bad traffic accident, one of those ones where he had a trucking company, he had a tow company, and he was picking someone up, and then someone smashed into him and the other car, and he was, basically squished.
Oh my God.
As my mom tells the story, it was like she was at the same hospital and came across his chart and was like, wait a minute, I know that name. And was able to provide some, additional kind of feedback from her point of view of what his prognosis and things he had to do. So it was just kind of cool that someone that I knew she could help, So But one of the things that she was really glad, as everyone's kind of said, is that she kind of started her career with the babies. And so she got to finish her career in the NICU at Evanston Hospital, Northwestern at the time. And she loved the babies and helping the mothers and the children get past that critical point if they had been premature and stuff. So that was one thing she really enjoyed, is the finishing her career in that capacity. But along with using the science to heal people, my mom, as everyone could tell, is told, is that she would find the appropriate time to share her spiritual insight. Many people who are here know what I'm talking about, as you have shared. She felt those were her two jobs, were to her missions in life, to help heal the body and help heal the soul. And in her search to be a better soul healer, she found the teachings, and through the time with Church Universal Triumphant, I got the privilege. So with her time, with Church Universal Triumphant, I got the privilege to connect with so many people who are on the phone and here, who are just amazing. So again, but at the same time, she felt you got to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul. So you got to use the science when it's appropriate, holistic stuff, and then you got to use the spiritual to kind of balance it all out.
Mm-hmm.
So the next part was her creativity. She had to balance out, all the death and despair that she had to deal with at work. So it was a little bit of both. Her to replenish her soul and to help be creative and kind of make things beautiful, because she had a lot of creativity in her heart. And I think, Gail, you can attest to this as well, as that, it started with her sewing as a teenager. She sewed her own dresses. She would get a pattern somewhere, and then she would get some fabric, and she would go to town. And as Stephanie stated as well, she, loved making dresses, especially for little girls for weddings, and 2 out of the 3 made it. 2 out of the 3. And as you can see in the pictures, let's see here. Yeah. So when Charmaine and I were getting married, she was like on a mission to make sure that she could be creative and make as many beautiful things for our wedding. And so, 1, she made this veil, and then 2, she made this other veil. Now she was a little prescriptive on some stuff, but I guess that was her way. Oh, that's right here, though, the second one. Oh, okay.
She made 2 veils.
2 veils, right. And then she made the pew stand. So again, thanks, Jenna, for making sure that she got there in time so she could put all those pew flowers on there. When I saw her there, I was like, awesome. That just made my day. And you can see Sandy's son and Walter's son, she made them their boutonnieres.
You're so cute. Oh, beautiful.
So along with sewing, let's see what else did I say?
Oh, Christopher, can I add something?
Yes.
To the creativity part. Ramona and I both left-handed, so it was kind of hard for me to learn how to knit. But she did teach me how to knit when we were in high school. And later, years later, when Trevor and I lived in California, we tried to ski. We would go to, oh my God. Anyway, Ramona made him this beautiful, beautiful turquoise sweater, absolutely gorgeous. And the first time that he wore the sweater, we were skiing or trying to, and he was totally out of control on the slope, everybody yelling, out of control, get out of the way. And all you could see was his turquoise sweater. It was hilarious. But Mama this turquoise sweater in the white snow and this man out of control. Oh gosh. But yeah.
It made me just squat.
I know, right? She could sew well, but she also knitted beautiful, beautiful things. Anyway, I just wanted to contribute that.
You'll see him coming.
Yeah, so with the knitting, she has a room, her sewing room, full of fabric and sewing machines. So if anyone locally is looking for sewing machines and a boatload of fabric, we'll need to talk.
I wish I had known this sooner because, you know, I'm 6 feet tall and sometimes I have to search for things that fit me. She could have put something together.
We would have definitely loved to make
She could have hooked you up, Beth. She could have hooked you up.
That I would have loved that. My custom wardrobe, my Ramona wardrobe.
One of the other things that she loved to do and she, to help is planting and gardening. So she was a horticulturalist in her own right. And this is a picture here of the time when Jenna and Stephanie, we all lived together, and Beth had kind of a couple of times had babysat, and so as Tariq had mentioned some of our adventures in the backyard, this is where we had a garden. And as my mom tells the story, as you can see, she's by the stalk of corn there. She's like, well, we grew this corn, and then we picked it, and it's supposed to be we were cooking it, but we could never get it to the pot. We just ate it. It was sweet corn right then and there. It was amazing. So you see me, I have some squash or quiche or squash, something there, squash, and some other flowers. So along with that, so she would know different plants and stuff, and then she would go to me and say, what is this? What's this? I was like, I don't know. This is the such and such plant. And then this is like, what is this? I don't know. Well, this is the such. Like, oh, here. And then this is the la 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 the blah blah blah. And I was like,
wow.
Okay. And I was like, well, then what is this? So I was like, I don't know. So
Did she know the Latin? Did she know the Latin species name?
Foliage. Because where I used to live, there was like a long walkway, and they would plant whatever perennials, some things that every year, I guess. Is that correct? And she was like, oh, look at that. That's the such and such. And I'm like, oh, that's wonderful.
That's a good son.
But yeah, she shared her little knowledge of different plants and their abilities and stuff. So I know my friend is not going to share, but Orrin and his girlfriend Amy shared with me one of their stories. So I'll tell it for them unless they jump in here if they want to tell the story. But recently we had here movie night on our patio a couple weeks ago, back in the beginning of the summer. And so Orrin and Amy were here, and before the movie, before the movie was to network or cocktail hour and kind of meet. And so my mom was there for this movie. We were watching North by Northwest, and we started a garden this year, and we had tomatoes. Tomatoes.
Yeah, you had some pretty awesome tomatoes, by the way.
Oh, hey, Orrin, you want to tell the story, Orrin? I don't want to ruin it. You can tell it better.
Oh, it's hey, I didn't have the luxury and the awesome chance to know your mom like everyone else here, but that one short exchange that we had, I'll never forget. How she, because your tomatoes were awesome and ours weren't. And so we were kind of lamenting that a little bit, but she started helping us understand that really she was associating them with babies and how you have to care for them, but you have to keep them in a space that's small enough, kind of like a crib. But as the tomato gets bigger, it's too big for the crib, and you have to give it more space. So, you have to talk to them more and really treat them like you mean it, I guess. And that was something I'll never forget. Hopefully, we have better tomatoes next year. But she was really, really enjoyable to speak with, and I here for you. Give us a shout if you ever need to chat, Chris.
Thanks, man. So she enjoyed planting and flowers, and and if she never shared with you her little concoction of getting what was it, ammonium, whatever. But basically, you put used shells, eggshell casings, and then you put water in that. It smells horrible, but it had a lot of supposedly nutrients, and you can use that on certain flowers. So, yeah. So, more to come on that, who knows, but, so. Then the other thing that, again, people are mentioning as well is her ability to cook and share food. She was a gourmet chef, and I just want to say Thanksgiving was her favorite meal to create. She would always experiment on all different types of recipes. She loved the cooking shows that Charmaine was talking about. She loved Ming Tsai, because Ming Tsai would do a lot of sauces and different flavors from Ming Tsai. But then she also liked Bobby Flay, and then he had a show where he would have a challenge, and then people would try to make something, and then he would try to mimic it and see how good he was, and she was like, yeah, I can do that too. And she's like, you watching? Hey, Chrissy, are you watching the show? Like, no, I'm not on it. What are you doing right now? I was like, I was doing something else. Well, come on, turn on channel 95 and watch Bobby. I was like, oh, okay, all right. But along with that, because one of the things her mission was, make me well-rounded and making me a good catch for a young lady, so I would be able to cook, but also that I would do my part as in the kitchen as a good man should. But along with that, her training style was kind of like, I was in the military, but they weren't as bad as her, and her drilling me. It was like, you do it like this? No, but like, stir it, so you got to keep stirring it. You can't walk away. Okay, you got to keep running. What's going on with the cooking here? What's going on with the bake? How many more minutes? You smell it? Is it burning? Like, all right, give me a second. Good Lord. And so I would tease her sometimes. She's a kitchen Nazi. But she was, and so I, again, experienced that recently when we went to Orlando this last time in August, and my nephew, David Jr., was there experiencing me cook with her in the background. So I guess it was a good experience to see him see that. But then she also said that you have to be mindful of how you cook, because your mood and energy is going into the food. And so that's where you have to obviously work for her. Put the love into it, because one of the things she said is people won't be receptive. Well, if people are not receptive to your food, they won't be open to hear what you say. So if you put love into the food, they'll be a little bit more open to hear the things you have to tell them. So that's one thing I took away from her and her wisdom. So as you can see here in this picture, to the left, this was 1990. Jeremy Arnone, Brian Keltner, and Jeremy Michelson came down from Montana after they graduated, and they came down the same weekend. It was basically my birthday, and this is my birthday feast. And it looks like we're eating cornbread from Jiffy, some corn, and she had baked up some chicken as well. And I remember that time, because all the guys were happy with the food, and and we're, like I said, we could see her talking and having a good time. And I looked forward, and for my mom doing it, and you see on the left or on the right where Melissa and Charmaine's parents, us having a meal. And so, but this was me. This is my me putting on the meal. So I had put everything together and kind of have us have a big family Thanksgiving meal. So you can see how big those plates are. So, and there's still a lot of food. Along with her creativity, one of the last things that she would do is that, hopefully I capture this. Yeah. So she enjoyed creating frames. So this matting, she would do it herself or find a place to put it all together. So she would spend hundreds of dollars putting these frames and matting together. She would find a frame and then go through the process of putting the layering of the matting to match, and that was another form of her creativity.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
So one of the things that we also shared was that, and I'll say, I'm proud to say it, my mother taught me how to sneak into other movie theaters. Well, I would see multiple movies at one time. That was our thing. I guess she got it at an early age because when she was little, she would go to the movies for, I guess, less than 50 cents.
Right.
And then she would be able to see 3 movies in all one seating.
Right.
As she said recently,
That's how I felt.
Wolfman, Frankenstein, and Dracula all in one sitting and stuff. So one of the things that we shared in, I guess, quality time together was that we would go to the movies. And then, so along with her being tardy sometimes, when the movie had already started, she'd be like, well, we can go into this other movie and then come back and see the other one when it starts again. I'd be like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Okay. But then she'd go into that movie and then wouldn't leave, and then we'd say, okay, then we see 2 movies, and so, yeah. So it was a vicious cycle process. So I apologize to the people who've come to the movies with us. That's kind of weird. The plug is in there. And then, what was I going to say? Oh, the next thing, along with going to the movies, and I guess with the movies too, is like I said, the Bowfinger. But again, I remember in high school, and I don't remember the cause and effect, but I remember she taking me out of something was going on, I guess. But all I remember is that I played a hooky day with her, and we went to go see I'm Gonna Get You Suckin'. So another one of those oddball movies where my mom was like, yeah, let's go see that. And I was like, okay. But along with that, sneaking into movies, my mom wanted to give me a level of culture and sophistication, so she would take me to the ballet, the operas, and musicals, and no, it's not going to work. Mine's on there. Oh, hold on, we're having small technical difficulties. The one that's lit, the blood that's lit. And my battery's about to die, so that would be a bad thing for all this to end.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not ready for it to end.
Yeah. Hurry up, hon. It says 15 minutes.
Check your batteries, everybody.
Hold on 1 sec. Brief intermission.
All right, battery intermission, everybody.
All right.
How's your battery, Mom? Good. Very good.
Quick intermission.
Okay. This would be a good time for everyone to check their power strength on their cell phones and their other electronic devices.
So,
make sure you're powered in or fully charged.
So you can see in this picture, we enjoyed going to the play, and so we saw the opera version of The King and I, and one of the musicals that really resonated with her was the West Side Story, and then she loved taking me to Bolshoi and see the Nutcracker at Swan Lake and Romeo and Juliet. I had many fond memories going there and getting a certain level of culture with my mom. Along with going to the movies and the theater, one thing she loves, and I guess that she saw in me or in kids in general, is the wonderment in their eyes when we would go to the aquarium, to the zoo, but especially when we go to Disneyland. The way she would tell the story the first time we were there, especially on the train ride. So, you know, the train ride right up there, that train there, you see in the picture, around the park, seeing all the animatronics, you know, how she would say is that for many years she said that I thought all those things were real. And then the wonderment of that. So she felt, going to Disneyland, she felt like a kid or a person to let their imagination expand and be refilled. And so she again was a kid at heart as well, and she had so much fun going with me and our friends. So, and our tradition was that this was the first time I was 2 years old, we would take a picture by Mickey Mouse, and you can see there's the next one, and then you see little Jenna when she was little, and then later on we got to do that with her and her son, and here's another picture. All right. So along with going to hold on one second. Disney story. I guess I gotta tell. So here was So yeah, on my first trip to Disneyland, she would love to tell this story when we rode on the Matterhorn. Back then, they didn't have any strict rules on height requirements, and so all right, so they didn't have a height. So I wanted to get on the ride, but she was like, I don't think so. And again, somehow, at 2 years old, I was like, I want to get on that ride. And she was like, no, you're too small. But supposedly how she says it, is that I was rolling around, kicking and screaming. And like, this was the first time I had my first temper tantrum. And to cut to the chase, as she says, to make a long story short, she got me on the ride. And then after the ride, I was kind of like traumatized. She was like, see, I told you. But what I take away from that is that she gave me the opportunity to grow and to learn. But at the same time, because like in that ride, she was there with me the whole time. So she never put me in a situation that she felt I could not grow and I could not handle myself. So I showed earlier the pictures of Jenna eating cake. So again, one of the things that she was very proud of Jenna growing up and having her own family and being able to be a great mom as well. So one of the other things she felt was the wonderment of kids was animals. So, and I'll just cut the chase there too. I think she got animals for me for herself. But as you can see this picture to the left is a picture of me and Jason Lawn, and this is a part when Camelot had certain areas there still hadn't construction, and there was like a junkyard area. And the one thing she always felt was amazing with me, or just being there at Camelot, of being able to find these different animals. So we found these kittens there, and I was like, "Mom, look, we found these kittens." And as you can see, I took the picture. And then as well, up behind her, if you can see, that's behind like Ascension Hill, and up in there was a lot of goat farms. And she says another story of how I found some sheep and goats and brought her there, and she was just amazed how did you find this? And so in there, the picture with me and the Christmas tree was our cat, King Arthur. So a lot of our animals had unique names. So the bunny rabbit, again, which I think she wanted for herself, was Scheherazade.
Wow.
And then we have here as well our Doberman Pinscher down here. That was Tiger Lily. And then and later on, when I went off to college, she was like, "Yeah, I got you a gift." I was like, "Oh, Mom, you know I'm out in college. Where am I now?" "Oh, then I guess I got to take care of the dog." Oh, darn it. Oh, God. Well, this is a major responsibility I got to take. I was like, okay, yeah, this is not, I get it now. You can't get that on. So that was Prince Valiant, our Siberian Husky. What else? So, what other? Yeah, so we had I think I've had every animal possible. And again, she said it was to help me get a certain level of responsibility, but she took care of the cats and dogs and everything. So, but as when I joined the family with Charmaine, I have 2 new sons. I have Blade and Red. Red is a full-figured tabby. And I don't have pictures. I wasn't able to get them up on the PowerPoint here. But again, I love them. They love me. They're great. And again, animals can definitely help with the healing process and help you be a better person. I have one other thing. I didn't put it on here, but I'll leave it to this. So we hopefully have enough time. As my mom would say, she would like to play a game. So I'm going to need my wife. Yes. Okay. Sit over here. So here. Just type down what people are going to eventually say. Secretary? Yeah. All right. So, I guess, scroll down. Scroll down. Right there. Mad Libs. Okay. So, has anyone ever played the game Mad Libs?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, April, what is Mad Libs?
Mad Libs is a lovely invention. A product of Mad magazine years ago, where you fill in the blanks of a sentence with something funny or entertaining or just bizarre.
Okay. So to make it simple, we don't have to get into the full rules here. So I'm going to go around the room here and around the horn on the people on the call. All right? So, and Charmaine is going to capture the words that you're going to say. So I'm going to ask, for example, I'm going to ask April to give me a plural noun. No, you don't have to. Well, okay, yeah. All right, and I'll throw it over to Rebecca.
I was good at the same.
All right, we'll go to Adrian. Adrian, another plural noun.
Card.
Card. So everything's on the first one. So Beth.
Yeah.
Beth, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So this is a hard one. Okay, you ready?
Okay, I'm thinking.
Person in room. Full name.
Person in room, full name.
Yeah. So any of the people who are on the phone or in the room.
Okay. Tariq Smith.
Tariq Smith. All right. All right. So this goes here. Go to the end of the list there. All the way over. Nancy Christian, are you on? Can we hear you? Do you want to talk? All right, we're moving to the next person. All right, we're going to go to Mike Summerall. Mike, are you there?
Oh. You might be muted. Yeah, you guys have been on mute for so long.
Mike? All right, moving on. This is the next person. All right, we're going to go to Josh. Josh McLeod. Hey, Josh, you there?
So yeah, the Honda.
Josh? All right, we'll go to the next person then. We'll go to Gail. On Gail. All right. She's a talkative person.
I'm here. I'm here.
So Gail, an adjective, a word that's an adjective.
That's an adjective?
Yes.
And an adjective is a word that describes a thing.
Right. Thing, person, or place.
Words that describe person, place, or thing.
Big.
All right. So, as my wife has instructed me, and I listen to her as much as possible. So, Melissa, another noun. Tree.
Good now. All right.
Sandy. An adjective.
Fluffy. Oh, I like it.
Ooh, good one.
Mine would be good.
All right, Jewel. A verb.
Ramble.
Rebecca. A noun.
Person, place, or thing.
It's not a proper noun?
Yeah, a noun.
Oh, you mean a girl noun? Okay, girl.
Dad, an article of clothing. Tie. A what?
Tie.
A tie? Okay. Mom, a noun. Female on the left end. All right. So Beth.
Yes.
Hey, did I get you already?
Yes.
All right, I got you.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go to somebody else. We're gonna go to Tariq.
Yes, you did.
Tariq, you still there?
Yes, I am.
So a plural noun.
Person, place, or thing.
Mountain.
Person, place, or thing.
Mountain?
Mountain.
All right. So, Leon, are you there? You want to say something?
Lucky.
Hi, Leon.
Hi.
Hi, Leon.
So, Leon, all right. So again, Leon, a noun.
Person, place, or thing.
Okay, Leon. Yeah, we can't hear you. This is the first time you never say anything.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, say it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go with a person, and I'm going to go with Sammy Davis Jr.
No, it's a noun.
A noun is a person, place, or thing.
I'm sorry. Let me go with.
Not a proper noun.
Not a proper noun. Sorry, my mistake. I'll go with dog.
All right, dog.
Dog.
Tatiana.
Yeah.
A plural noun.
Trains.
What is it?
Trains, like
trains.
Trains.
Okay, got it. Good.
Okay. Excellent.
Lauren, you still there? Dad, is that you? All right, Lauren.
I hear you. Sorry, what did you say?
Give me a noun.
Give me a noun. No. Mommy said flowers.
What?
Flower.
Mommy said flowers.
Flowers.
Flower.
You can put it again. All right, who do we have to get? Hey, Victoria.
Yes.
We need a adjective.
Okay. An adjective. Colorful.
All right, great. What else we got?
Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Hey, Art.
Hi, Victoria. Hey, Keith.
Hey, Art. I need a plural noun.
Yes, here he is.
Going once, Art? Going twice?
Hold on. Chris is talking to you.
All right, we'll go to Elaine Johnson. We need a plural noun.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. A plural noun. Bicycles.
Bicycles?
Excellent.
All right.
Awesome. Very nice.
Charmaine.
Bicycles.
Yeah.
A part of the body. Booty. All right, put that on there. All right, I'm going to give one to myself. A noun. Well, I'm kind of cheating, so I can't do it. So let's go back to April. April, a noun.
There we go. If you were, I can pull the one you were thinking of.
There we go.
I know. Now. Good, we're missing. I know, right? We're thinking of Adrian.
All right, sausages. And then the final one, I'll throw the last one to you, Beth. What's the last one? And the last one will be another person on the phone or in the room?
Another person on the phone or in the room. Victoria Brailsford. Hey, Victoria. Hi, Victoria.
Yeah, Max. This Max. Yeah. All right. So I guess you'll say the word, and then. All right. So I'm going to read this, and this is from a card from camp. All right.
Okay.
Dear folks, camp is great. I like all the flowers in my tent. I have become as close as 2 cars in a pod with Tariq Smith.
Yes.
Who has a big personality and is never without a tree. He tells really fluffy stories which make all of us rambled out loud. I have to stop writing now. I know I promised a long girl, but this morning I washed my shirts and tie and put them out to dry on the clothes mansion, and it looks like it's getting ready to rain cats and mountains. I better get off my dog and get my tree off the flower line before I run out of colorful underwear. I promised to write a letter full of bicycles before my booty hits the pillow tonight or tomorrow, or maybe I'll write today or Tuesday. Your loving snossages, Victoria Brailsford.
Thank you.
So now I guess I can go to the closing portions of me. All right. So my mom, as many of you all know, has some wise sayings. So number one, I hope you got to share some positive experiences about my mom. You got to learn some new things about my mom. I hope you got to smile and laugh and cry a little bit. I hope today helps you with your healing process. My mom was about sharing wise sayings, pearls of wisdom. This is just a few. You can't do evil so that good may come. If your teacher be an ant, heed him. Don't look down your nose to the day of small things. If you always do what you always done, then you always have what you have right now. So one of the things we have is we have these little prayer cards that I'm going to be sending to everybody, and on the back of that prayer card is this, the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. And where there's sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood, to be understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in the giving that we receive. It is in parting that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. So I'm going to turn it back over to our hostess with the most.
Thank you, Christopher. That was very beautiful and very fun. And so now it's time for our closing prayer before we all say goodbye. So, Mom, are you there? Good. Would you like to give the closing prayer, Elsa, a.k.a. Mom?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
We call to the beloved, mighty I Am presence and Holy Christ presence of each one gathered here. We give our hearts love and joy and gratitude for the communion of our hearts. We give love and gratitude for our beloved. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We give our hearts love and gratitude for our interaction, the joyful memories of our beloved Ramona, who is going to, as we used to say, to the other side of life, to experience life in a more full and joyous way. We ask for her protection as she is making this journey. We ask for the protection of all of us as we remain, and that we will be uplifted and protected in all of life's journeys and challenges that we must face. And we remember the children of Israel as they traveled with Moses to the promised land. They were led by the Shekinah glory, which manifested as a pillar, a cloud of witness by day, and a pillar of fire by night. And may we all remember this in our hearts and look up to the stars as we go forward to fulfill the will of God in all ways, at all times. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you,
everyone.
Christopher. God bless you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mom. So that concludes our service today, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for surrounding Christopher, for taking the time to surround Christopher with your presence and your love and his family. And thank you, Christopher, for doing this so that we could all have the opportunity to send you our love and our support and comfort and to honor your mother today. So at this time, Christopher, if you'd like to, if you unmute everybody's microphone, then we can all say goodbye to each other all at once, and we can hear everybody. So it's like we're all in the room together. Do you want to try that?
Yeah, so they're all muted, so we are live and in color.
Okay, great. All right, 1, 2, 3, everybody say goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Bye, Christopher. Bye, Jenna. Bye, Tatiana.
Bye.
Bye, Carolyn.
Bye, Chris. See you when you're in Las Vegas again.
And Stephanie.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Lauren.
Bye, Kaya.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Jenna.
Love you all. Bye, Alka.
Bye, Tariq.
Bye, Stephanie. Love you.
Bye, Tariq.
Bye, Tariq.
Bye, Tariq. And your mom, Nancy.
Bye, Mommy.
Bye, Tatiana.
Bye.
No, say bye.
Bye. Bye.